at speed, it doesn't feel like that. At speed, everything's...
Oh, and around we've got cars on the track. Already involved, it's Kyle Busch. The 16 of Greg Biffle's involved. Looks like Denny Hamlin in the 11. And this is exactly what you didn't want to see as a crew chief, Steve. Cars getting torn up. These are their primary cars.
Yeah, I mean, you're kicking yourself now if you're in this crash. Did you really need to be out there? It's just a classic case. You see that the 18 and the 2 are running nose to tail. The 18 moved up. The 2 got down. The 18 kind of came across his front bumper. And once he spins, everyone's in a pack. There's 25 cars in a pack. There's nowhere for the 9, for the 11, for the 16, anywhere for those guys to go.
Cars got collected in this. Martin Truex Jr. in the 78 up against the wall.
Jeff Gordon with a good move.
24 of Gordon stayed right down by the double yellow line, was able to avoid it.
Sam Hornish, he comes in here. He's, nothing he can do. I mean, there's nothing he could have done different right there.
Yeah, the 18 came down the track. Sam Hornish collects him. Jamie McMurray in the 1 also involved. Martin Truex Jr. landed the wall pretty hard before he got into the 18 as well. But it started with the 18 and the 2. The 2 just behind that 18.
And that's the tough part. You're running in such close proximity. You have to help each other. Right here, you're on board with Kevin Harvick. And he's looking ahead. His spotter's
in the garage coming at you guys.
Oh, he's coming this lap. The spotters are coming this time. Now he sees it. He lifts. He lifts. All you can see is smoke. Gets really low. Good job.
And so talented there. He got back in the gas because he saw the cars coming back down.
You see right there's a classic case as the 18 moves up. The 2 feels there's a middle lane. He doesn't mean to catch the 18. He thinks he's going to go by him, and at the same time, the 18 is going to come back down to the middle lane. That happens so quickly. And once those bumpers get misaligned, it's so easy to turn one another.
It almost looked like the 18 slowed just a little bit, too. I mean, if the gap in front of the 18 and the car in front of him looked a little bigger just before the contact was made.
And I've been one of these crew chiefs before. You've worked. You've been in the wind tunnel. This is your primary car for a reason. And here you are, less than 10 laps, a little over 10 minutes into practice, and you've put this car away. You have to get your other car out. Now your whole practice plan has to change.
And remember, it was February that Kyle Busch was involved in an accident that kept him out of 11 races for the Cup Series. Because of that accident, now he's involved in another accident. He was able to drive the car back to the garage. Obviously not the way he wanted to start this practice.
Here's Carl Edwards.
What kind of time do we get?
Sees it. He's lifted.
Got hit.
Now getting from behind.
Watch your left side.
Boom.
We got it, guys. Yeah, I just got run over.
Yeah, got hit from the back. We saw.
We got run over. That guy never even lifted.
Darren Wallace Jr. at the back of the single file line. He's got Brendan Gaughan just in front of him. Moving that second line. Blake Cook, and around goes the 85. So Bobby Gerhart spins, brings the caution out. Gerhart coming into the tri-oval area and the grass.
He's got to keep that car moving. If he doesn't keep it moving with the rain we've had, he could get stuck in that grass. Good job of keeping it rolling.
And just as you say that, he dug in just a bit. He was coming up to pit road. He was running 33rd. But you see the right side tires down on that car, and a lot of turf on the front of him. Has been trying to have success in the Xfinity Series as well. You see him behind the pack getting sideways.
It almost seemed like a one-car incident. It's hard to really understand exactly what happened there.
That was coming out of turn number 4. Take another look. There his Bobby Gerhart.
It is not a single car incident. There's the car behind him obviously got in the left for the quarter panel and got him spun around. Nice job of locking it down. Just kept the wheel straight, locked it down. That's the best thing to do. Sometimes you try too hard, you get yourself wrecked worse. He did a really good job of just accepting the situation, getting all 4 wheels locked, just getting the car slowed down.
And Kyle Busch mentioned the fact that he'd love there to be no grass around a racetrack. Well, he was able to save that, lock it down, and just kind of glided into the grass here because of that pavement as they came out of turn 4.
Watch the splitter dig in. You know, the wet grass, when the front end sets down, you got all the weight of the car, and it just grabs the grass. And, you know, the faster you go through it, the harder it can grab it. We've seen a lot of damage to cars done. This incident, he was going pretty quickly, but you still saw him dug up all that grass.
Has told us multiple times they don't want to penalize someone. They have to enforce a rule.
Oh, around goes the 14 again. Cale Conley this time. He spins, he's on the apron, and that will bring out our second caution.
Don't tear the fenders off of the car.
That is a protective measure. Make sure they stay on their wheels. Take another look. Looks like he might have had some help.
And we talk about the grass. You see a perfect example of how the grass there on the entrance to turn 3, kind of the car started bouncing. The splitter got down into it. You see here he gets kind of spit out of the pack. Luckily, the splitter stays on it. Right there where it digs in, there's an opportunity to really do some damage to the front of that car.
And one advantage he had also, when he did start spinning, there was very little asphalt that he was on. So that's why the tires go flat, is you wear through the tire. But when you're in the grass, you're really not doing any damage to the tire. You're doing damage to the body, but not the tire. It's hitting you. If that's going on in the middle of the corner, a lot of times.
Oh, into the wall. We've got another one. The sparks are flying, and the caution comes out once again. 70, Derek Cope. Derek got into this race because of a problem with the 13.
He just turned right to try to go on the outside line, and there was a 33 car, and you know, he didn't know he was there. Just turned right and turned himself into the wall.
Let's ride along with the 42 of Brennan Poole. This becomes a 3-wide situation just behind the 70.
So gets stacked up right there, and he goes to make a move. And
back with you. Stay low, low, low. Keep coming. Don't hit the apron. Don't hit the apron. You're all right.
You know,
keep coming. Yellow is out. Nothing out the back. You can back it down here. Nice job.
I have to ask myself, we've talked all weekend long about the spotters being moved to a different location, a little bit lower and a little bit farther down the grandstands, and that makes that exit or turn 4, the cars are almost coming directly at them. So while the spotter probably could obviously see they were 3 cars wide, his depth perception is very hard at that point. He maybe couldn't tell that there was a car high or far enough up the right side of the 70 to be actually outside him. Thus, Derek Cope thought he had a lane to move up to.
Just 21 to go, and around goes the 14. Cale Conley got into the wall, and that brings the caution out once again.
Well, difficult to know what happened there. Obviously, he was, you know, only car in the shot. Don't know if he had a tire problem or something. There was a car not in the shot that got into him before he got in the corner.
At the stripe. 10 laps of racing to go. And around goes the pack in the middle. Darrell Wallace Jr. gets caught up. The big one happens just as they go through the tri-oval. Back up into the wall hard, Brendan Poole. Eric Almirola caught up in this in the 98. The caution comes out.
Point it here, guys.
Chris Buescher, the point leader.
Back up here today.
Caught up in this incident. Blake Cook in the 8th, involved. There's Brendan Poole.
Good to see that window net coming down. He had a hard hit, head-on impact. That was a big hit. See Brendan Gaughan in the middle there. Ryan Reed gets hit by the 3 car, pushes him into Brendan Gaughan, and then it's on from there.
Daniel Suarez caught up in this as well. Regan Smith.
Look at the job right there. Casey Kane in the 88 gets on the brakes. The crash happens, gets off the brakes, back on the gas to drive out of it. And that's bump drafting. That's what happens. The 3 gets into the back of the car in front of him, turns him, and then with 2 and 3 wide, there's just no. You see right here, the 3 is pushing the 16, trying to help him. He doesn't want to spin this car out. He's trying to help him, push him towards the front. He gets a little to the right rear, causing the 16 to turn left. It hits the 62, which picks up the 6. And then as they come back up the racetrack, there's nowhere for these guys to go. You see the damage, the cars all over the racetrack has forced NASCAR to put the red flag out, stop the field here on the front stretch while they do cleanup. You see the 6 spins to the inside. The 60 has nowhere to go. Really, and look, as the 52 and the 6 spin to the left, this is that new pavement area down into turn 1 that Daytona has added for this race right here. And then the 42, this is still a big, heavy impact. He comes back across the track, up the banking, and you see that soft wall, the give of that soft wall. That is a heavy impact, but I assure you the impact is deadened some by the side. It's still a wall, but the soft wall definitely absorbs some of that impact.
At speed.
Brennan was trying to drive it.
Riding along with Darrell Wallace Jr. So violent at 190 miles an hour. This is what Brennan Poole saw.
He's behind the crash a little bit here, and he's running on the bottom. He sees the smoke, he lifts, he gets back in the gas, gets to the bottom, and he just gets clipped in the right rear. That's a hard hit. That is a hard hit. You hear him, you know you instantly want to lift and get out of the gas.
Heard a spotter right away, said, "Are you all right?"
That's right, but Brendan was driving it the whole way. You know, he's still thinking he can control that race car.
This wreck all started in the trial. Well, the trial was let's watch from this perspective.
This is Chris Buescher. Those are the top two on the points right now, Ty Dillon and Chris Buescher.
As the 3 gets in the back of the 16, Casey's starting to see it. He sees the smoke right here. He's obviously out of the gas. There's not much he can do, but he gets on the brakes to keep from running over the 7. Moves down here. You see as the front tires locked up, they smoke a little bit, but then here it gets back in the gas. The 8 doesn't get him in the bumper. That's an impressive job of driving, knowing where you have to be on the brakes to not hit the guy in front of you, but then the spotter, you're in the mirror, you understand you got to get on the gas because you can feel the pressure coming from behind. I mean, that happens in a blink of an eye, but a veteran like Kasey Kahne does just an amazing job of not getting caught up in that.
Brian Scott's in his mirror just looking. He's going to have to go right, go left. Whatever lines build momentum, he's got to slow it down by trying to get in front of him.
And now up against the wall. He gets into the wall. Brian Scott trying to block into the wall, and he goes. The caution comes out again. Brian Scott doing what you said, trying to slow the momentum down, did it too late, got hooked up, and into the wall he went. David Starr also involved in the 44, going down the backstretch.
You see Brian Scott on the bottom, Elliott Sadler on the outside. Elliott's getting a big push. Brian tries to go in front and block, and Elliott's already there. He did what he needed to do. He just did it too late. The move was made too late to try to put the block on. Once they get that far up, you just got to hold your spot and take your punishment.
Once again, Kasey Kahne.
Kasey Kahne has worked his way through the accident, but you're absolutely right, Jeff. You know, it seems like the key around this place is run the bottom through the corners and the top down the straightaways when you're the leader and you want to block both lanes. But if you're going to run the top or block the top, you have to do it right away. You can't be that late. It's very hard for the spotter to see. You see here, there's a big run coming, and the move, it's just, I mean, there's nothing he can do. Elliott Sadler is clearly there all the way up to his quarter panel. And when he turns in front of the field, you can see all the debris fly.
And Elliott saw that coming, but you can't lift. You got to stay in the gas. If you don't lift, I mean, if you lift, you're going to get wrecked from behind. So Elliott did everything he could do. He had to stay in the gas. All these guys are victims.
Keep coming, yelling down.
That was Jones' perspective. He got hit by Joey Logano.
But you know, only this kind of racing do you have to block like that. This is a product of this racing. Now, Brian Scott, this is his responsibility. We know that's how this racing is. We know you have to block if you're going to try to win, but you got to do it at the right time. He just made a mistake. It was an aggressive move in an effort to win the race. Obviously, his mistake. Had he pulled it off and done it a little bit earlier, he did the right thing. He just didn't move quick enough.
So many cars involved. I mean, once they start spinning, there's nowhere to go. You try to get on the brakes, you try to get on the gas. Kasey Kahne, he somehow avoids another one, Rick.
Austin Dillon, Kasey Kahne, both come through unscathed.
You see here, Kasey Kahne is in the middle again. As they start to wreck in front of him, you see the smoke. He gets a little bit into the 0 car, gets on the brakes, but then right on the gas again. That's 2 major wrecks that he's somehow worked his way through the middle
with
of.
a final run, trying to get by as they come into the tri-oval. And around goes the 18 of Suarez behind him. Austin Dillon will hold on and win at Daytona.
Line to these cars. Uh-oh, we've got an accident.
It's Ellsworth in one of the minis. This looks, I'm guessing, well, we shouldn't do that, but I'm guessing someone got up on the outside curve and shot over and took someone with them.
Yes, Breedis and Ellsworth involved there. See the red Mini on the inside. Watch Breedis, yeah, he just loses it on the curbing there. The painted stripe, that's like glass as well. We talked about the blacktop concrete. You've also got these painted curbs, and if you're accelerating on those, you're going to lose grip. Let's take a look. Breedis there gets a little bit wide. Just touches that yellow line, Tommy. He's gone.
Yeah, it jacks a little bit of a weight across the chassis, and it's super slippery and just shoots him over to the right side.
So the lights go out. Von Texas doesn't get a good start, but watch for Enzo Eid here. The Audi on the right-hand side of shot, number 2, he ends up on the grass, cutting straight across, barrels into the side of the Lamborghini, and I think that's where the damage came.
Yeah, the Lamborghini got spun round in the middle of the pack there. You can see it going around. Fortunately, everybody managed to drive around him while the car was rotating through 360 degrees. I mean, a real mess in the middle of the
If it's done incorrectly, there'll be a wreck.
The 38 goes sideways. David Gilliland sideways as they come out of turn number 4. Also involved, the 22 of Logano. The 32. Multiple cars involved in this one. Coming out of turn number 4.
You see right here, the 38's coming down to change lanes. There isn't room. He comes across the front bumper of the 15, spins him to the bottom, and the field very tight. You see farther back into the field, the 16 and the 10 get into the back, and the 22 spinners up across the track. And that's what happens in these tight packs. When there's a spin way up in front of the pack, everyone gets out of the gas, and it's so hard when you're only a couple feet apart. Another hard impact there with the 32 and the 38. When you're that close, you don't have enough room. If you don't slow down the exact same rate, someone gets spun out.
And you see right here, David, he's one to be on the bottom of the racetrack. He wants to get behind the 88 because he thinks that's the best line, but he just doesn't have it synced up. He did not get a good view of the 15, turned down on the 15s. Nothing Clint Boyer could do right there. All he could do is get into him, and then everything behind him was just as a result of trying to miss this wreck. Give it a ride with Tony Stewart coming off turn 4. He sees the smoke, slow it down.
Come all the way down if you want to. Slow down right there. Slow down. Come on, come on.
Riding on the 10 car.
Spinning, back it down, back it down, back it down. Stay high, you're all good.
Right along with Eric Almirola.
They're by themselves. Still outside. Spin. Very bottom. But stay high. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. You're all good. You're all good. Brake hard.
And you could hear in that, you could hear Eric Almirola lift off the throttle. You could hear him slowing down, and the guys behind him, they just couldn't get. You saw Joey Logano trying to slow down. Somebody got into the back of him, got him turned around. That's a typical Daytona wreck right there.
You're never going to learn how your car will react right here when it's
Kyle Busch into the wall, Marty. Kyle Busch gets into the wall. We just mentioned how he potentially would have to be cautious. He can't have a bad finish.
Stay up there for about 15 more.
He's going to start losing laps now.
You see him get on the outside of McMurray. He just gets loose. Just got in the corner, got loose, and bounced it up against the wall. Nobody got into him. But you know what? That's not uncommon here. Right and get into turn 1, you lose a lot of grip. You can see the back end get around on him. He has to chase it. There's nowhere to go. The only thing he can do is hit the wall.
Carl Edwards, a wild ride coming out of turn number 4. He gets it going straight once again. He was running in the 13th position. It looks like a one-car incident. The yellow flag has come out. But a crazy ride for Carl Edwards.
You see him, he just got loose all by himself, and now he's got it locked down. He's on all that asphalt. You know, we talked about getting grass out of racetracks. That's why right there he was able to keep control. He did make a little bit of contact. You can see the rear quarter panel bent, but not nearly as bad as it would have been with the grass down there.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, you see him right here, kind of 3 wide, almost 3 wide outside the 20, and you see he starts correcting it. He just loses rear grip. It gets really, really loose. He's locked it down. He's trying to spot the wall, trying to spot where he's going, and he does a great job. You see this tire start to roll again. He gets off the brakes, starts to drive the car. This onboard is going to have a great shot of it. You're going to see here and listen.
Now just easy, easy.
He does a great job. You hear him right before he spins, he starts to breathe it. He knows he's in trouble. And then as he starts to lose it, he gets out of it, he gets it locked up.
But you could see when he got behind the 20 and the 78, he had 2 cars in front of him. That took all the air off his car, and when it did, around that thing went. That's a sign for me that these cars are not handling great.
And you see here, it's a great opportunity to see some of the safety initiatives in this car. When that 19 gets sideways, you see the distance between the car and the asphalt. It starts to lift. As that car lifts, the roof flap opens, the hood flap opens, the car settles back down.
The caution has come out. In turn 4, one of the cars stalled just outside of turn 4. That's the 38, David Gilliland, involved in the first accident. As he mentioned, he thought he cut the right rear tire. There's 38 going around through turn 4. And behind him, who was that checking up?
Yes. Kyle Busch going by. Like maybe A.J. Allmendinger. There's Jeb Burton.
Gilliland sliding.
That's Brendan Gaughan, rather.
Brendan Gaughan in the 62 was sideways in turn 4 as well.
Well, that's the perfect example. That seems simple because Brendan Gaughan was behind. It got big.
Another big one in turns 1 and 2 at Daytona. You look at Brian Scott in the 33. Fire underneath that car. He'll have to come to a stop. Fire extinguishers putting that out inside of the car. Take a look at what happens. The 42 of Kyle Larson completely sideways.
He gets down to the apron. You see the sparks where the track bar mount hits the ground. He saves it, but he comes up the track, has no choice but to connect with the 19, who then starts to spin. Brad Keselowski gets a face full of sparks. The 17 does go around, and now the track is blocked. Now these guys are trying to find a hole through, and the 2 gets woed up, and the 3 kind of gets woed up, but then you see Carl Evans goes back up the track, and here comes Brian Scott with a full head of steam, makes big contact with the back of the 19.
Yeah, Brian Scott looked like he was going to be able to get through this clean. He was accelerating to try to get by the cars, but then up came Carl Edwards from the bottom of the track.
There's nothing you can do in that situation. You know, he just was coming at such a high rate of speed. Really nothing Brian Scott could have done. See Carl, he's watching. We're going around a lap car right here. See, Larson just gets loose. Car goes around, tries to shoot the middle, just didn't clear him.
Point out a couple things. Number one, I don't think I've spun completely out yet. All right, so
tried.
That's big, and also Subway service breakfast. So for all the folks when the race is over, they can go check it out. But really frustrating. We knew that we were just going to go race and go for it. And that first one, I don't ever have flat tires. I mean, Goodyear does a good job, and I'm pretty sure I had a left rear go down, and we got everything back together. Got back on the lead lap, and then. That whole wreck happened. I thought, man, I got this a couple times, and then Brian Scott was real curious about the underside of the car, and I had no clue what happened. It's like I'm going to flip over frontwards, but I guess nobody got hurt, and we'll just go race at Kentucky next week.
We have a new leader out front of the field. You can follow Miss Sprint Cup as the big one's happening once again, coming out of turn number 4. Into the wall, Kyle Larson. Multiple cars sideways. Martin Truex Jr., a lot of damage to the front end of his car. Eric Almirola also involved. There's Kyle Larson. Damage to the front end. Once again, coming out of turn number 4, a tricky spot on this track. Casey Kane, who was running up front all day, a lot of damage to the right front.
We've seen this time and time again. The 20 tries to come down on the 5. I don't know if he actually makes contact with the 5 or just the air gets him loose. Man, and then it's just a mess, right? When you have trouble in front of that many cars, there's just nowhere to go. You see the 9 spinning, trying to avoid it. Once the smoke is that thick, there's just nowhere to go.
All these cars behind them right now, they're just trying to find somewhere to go, but there just never is. You just keep piling in. You're on the brakes. The guys behind you are running into you. You know, it's just a big. This is plate racing. This is what we talk about. This is what the drivers fear.
Right along with Tony Stewart.
Step ahead here, back Get down. Come down low. Come down low. Come down low. All the way down. All the way down. Come on down. Come on down. Come on down. Stay right there. Stay there. Stay there. Stay there. Stay there. Watch out now.
The vision of these drivers amazed me. It almost sounded like he was out of the gas before we even saw sparks. Like he knew this was not going to work.
You can see Matt Kenseth, he never got touched by Casey Kane. He tried to fill that spot. The air got taken off the back of the car. He got loose. Around he went. Caused a big wreck.
There's that air cushion that Martin Truex Jr. was mentioning earlier. They didn't actually make contact, but around went the 20.
Yeah, we've seen this. This is the 4th incident we've seen where cars start to get spun around just by being around other cars or being in situations where they had a lot of air and then they lost it. So this is something new. We haven't been seeing this at Daytona.
We talked about track position at the top of the night. The 88 on the last pit stop decided to take 4 tires. You see him right here.
On the hook, he will go back into the garage. The big one once again at Daytona. Welcome back. Danica Patrick into the wall in turn number 2. The pack catching up to her as they go down the backstretch. They will go by her on the outside, and
Tire guys, pretty good right front damage.
sounds like the caution has come out now over in turn number 2. Take a look and a listen.
Here guys, coming inside you, then you're all good. No caution yet. Keep rolling. Caution is out. Keep rolling. All you got. The pack is just off at 2. Job in the apron.
Oh, and around goes the 55. David Reagan trying to keep hold of it, sliding through the grass. Right now it's a 1-car incident. The caution has come out.
Fire it up. Fire it up. Get it rolling.
Going down the backstretch.
Didn't hit nothing. Come on. We're rolling.
Just in front of 3 wide, and he goes sideways.
Yeah, it looks to me like maybe Kurt Busch was, trying to help. Comes up there, maybe gives him a little push. It's either the air or bumper to bumper. Hard to see from the front, but definitely was right behind the 55. The 55 has that big wiggle. You see here from the start. No, he actually comes up and comes across the car in the middle. The 41 was about a car length back, so he just changes lanes. That's what happens on the backstretch. You're jockeying for position. We've already talked about how far away that is for the spotters. The 55 goes to the right. Landon Castle's already there in the 40. It catches him on the right rear quarter panel. It's really, really lucky that it was just a 1-car incident.
Yeah, most racetracks, we always wreck in the corner. At Daytona, we see a lot of wrecks on the back straightaway because everybody's jockeying for position, trying to get themselves in a line that they want to be in. How about old Casey Kane on the bottom? He had to be looking in his mirror saying, hey, how am I going to get in this wreck? He ultimately didn't get hit, but he had to be wondering what was getting ready to happen.
There's more of that grass here at Daytona that Kyle Busch has talked
Which
about.
line does he go to? Now Harvick's not quite clear. Harvick's on the outside of him. Now, boom, he didn't make a commitment.
Oh, and around goes the car behind him. That's the 6, or excuse me, the 9. A very close call there for Sam Hornish Jr. in the 9. The caution comes out. Now we're getting closer to the possibility of a green-white checker. See a lot of dirt that was drug out onto the track. They will have to clean up.
Splitter's stuck on the racetrack, ain't get moving.
We've seen
Murray
this.
got together.
Yeah, we have. We've seen this time and time again. You see the splitter makes huge contact with the grass. The car starts to bounce. Luckily, it lands on all 4. It just continues to spin. But we've seen this. The 9 goes to make a move, looks for that inside line, wasn't clear of the 1, drives across his nose, ends up spinning through the grass.
Tore the splitter completely off when it grabbed the grass initially. And then once again,
Look at that.
hit hard and up into the air. A wild ride for Sam Hornish Jr.
He's still driving it. Look at those hands. Still driving it.
And listen, I know I make it sound simple that he drives across the 1. But Sam Hornish is trying to go forward. He's not changing lanes to get out of the way. He's changing lanes to try to get in the right lane, to try to make something happen.
White flag in the air one more time around Daytona.
Here he comes.
They're side by side for second. 2-car length lead for Dale Earnhardt Jr. as they work their way through 1 and 2, and down the backstretch they go. Junior blocking the lower line. Does that give the advantage to the 48? Junior jumps up in front of Jimmy Johnson. to the bottom of the racetrack. Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to stay in front of the pack. They work their way through 3 and 4. Into the triumph they come. Dale Earnhardt Jr. to the bottom of the track. Jr. will win in Daytona. And the big one happens behind them. Austin Dillon into the catch fence. All the crews getting out to that car to assist these drivers. Thumbs going up from all the crew members, and the crowd roars. Look at the catch fence on the front straight. Pulling. Austin Dillon out. He's walking. The damage to the 4 of Kevin Harvick. What an incredible sight to see Austin Dillon walking away from that 3 car that is demolished.
Unbelievable impact with Austin Dillon. Watch this replay.
There is the engine.
Incredible impact. Unbelievable.
And what an incredible sight to see the thumbs going up from the crew members that were checking on Austin, and then Austin Dillon to walk away from that accident. But then the accident takes place behind him.
Yeah, the 11 gets kind of stuck in the middle there and comes across the 4's bumper. As he does, he spins back in, gets the 3 airborne, and he just gets projected off the other cars right up into the fence.
He went from the bottom of the racetrack over 2 rows of cars and into that catch fence.
Here we go. You can see him on the bottom. Rex starts in front. He runs in the back of the 24. Gets up on the 11. Now he's on top of the 50.5. Now it's just along for the ride. Watch the car stop. Watch the car stop. It gets into those poles, and it goes from, I don't know what, 180, 190 miles an hour, I'm just guessing, to a complete stop. That is unbelievable.
And it looks like that's 3,500 pounds. That stock car is extremely heavy. You see here, after he's upside down, the 2 is spinning. Obviously, he's already lost control, makes more contact with the 3.
11 and the 4 to get together. Here we are at the start-finish line.
It just pushes the 3 up into the air enough that it rolls over the top of a car. And then that momentum just continues to move him into the catch fence. Let's ride along with Kevin Harvick.
Top's covered. Middle's open. Come on. Oh, we got a terrible wreck behind you. Just hold it straight, buddy. Hold it straight.
And you heard Kevin Harvick. As much as he wants to get to the start-finish line, as he sees the 11 start to spin, he's out of the gas. It's just line after line of car pushing everyone through there.
Take another look at this real time. According to track safety, they are attending to 3 fans in the grandstands. Some debris did get through that fence. One of the most amazing things I've seen tonight, and we've seen a lot of incredible things, but one of the most amazing things is when that crew pulled Austin Dillon out of the 3, and Austin Dillon is able to walk out of that accident, out of that crash, and then acknowledge the fans by waving to them. Here's the end of the race once again.
Just an unbelievable impact. You know, we talk about how the soft walls and the impact there, but the catch fencing, as it gives, it needs to give to a point. It kind of grabs and just stops the car almost instantaneously.
And an explosion when that car hits that fence. You could hear it. You could almost feel it. Here's Tony Stewart. The car will go right over the top of Tony.
Just never seen a car stop at that rate. I mean, going from that fast to essentially 0. So, you know, and that's what scared me, to be quite honest with you, when I saw it, how quickly he stopped. Because just like we talked about angle of impacts on walls, you know, when a car stops that quickly, the driver's got to be feeling that. There's got a lot of be going on inside that race car, and it honestly scared me. Thought about, you know, his dad, his mom, Mike Dillon, his granddad, his grandmother. I mean, that's the first thing was going through my mind.
The reinforced catch fences. After Kyle Larson in the Xfinity race got into that fence, they worked on it, they honed it, they tried to reinforce it. That car, obviously 3,500 pounds, it was able to shear off 2 of the poles on the front stretch. We're hearing from NASCAR that the safety and the health and services there, they're attending to 3 fans in the grandstands, but they're attending to them with minor injuries, is what we're hearing.
That's wonderful news, because as you see, you know, the car stays mostly intact as far as the driver compartment is concerned, but there's a tremendous amount of pieces missing off that car. The entire front engine is missing.
Hamlin just taking his first glance at the replay there, Rick, and getting a sense of what happened behind him. What did you see?
Well, I really didn't get it. They got to run it back, but the 4 was pushing me, or was trying to push me to the line, and you know, he had us jacked up, and we crossed the line, I thought, or we were close. Yeah, I mean, he's trying to help, but it just wrecked a bunch of stuff. You know, at some point, you know, none of us were going to win the race for second and third, so we all have wins. So, you know, at some point you got to hit the concede button. But yeah, you know, also took one heck of a ride. Wow.
And the catch fence. There's going to be talk about the catch fence. In your opinion, did it do what it was supposed to do?
Yeah, I think so. It looks like it kept the car in the racetrack, which is good. I rode in the ambulance with Austin, and he said he felt fine. So I think everything is gone really well. I think NASCAR's done a great job, and this track has done a good job of stepping up. We're gonna, anytime you get these cars turned around backwards at these speeds, there's gonna be lift, and we're gonna get these cars in the air. It's just part of physics, and so I think everything did its job there.
Yeah, you know, it's a part of our sport. It was really interesting to watch the playback and to see how the 3, I just thought he was backwards, and that's why the car took off. And then to see the replay there and to see there's a little contact with the front of the 11 car, and that sent it in the air. And then the fact the car just climbed altitude like it did and went in the fence. I've never seen anything like that. And then how fast it stopped. Happy to know that Austin's okay, and certainly hope that the fans are. Just a scary, scary moment. And I saw it all take place in the mirror, and I mean, it hit me hard. I thought, you know, something really bad happened.
Yeah, so what does it say about the safety, the fact that he got out, waved to the crowd, and is okay?
It's remarkable. I mean, the car's ripped in half. The front snout's gone. The engine's laying out there. We've done a nice job of protecting the drivers, and hats off to everyone involved. You know, you have debris that gets in the grandstands, and if there was another car tumbling, the fence is down, so you got to look at other cars following behind that. So we can be better, but it is great to have the focus of NASCAR on the tracks and even our teams to make these cars safe. So everybody's working in the right direction to make these things safe.
Thank you, Jimmy. Mike?
Landon Castle just saw the replay, and the first words out of his mouth were unbelievable. What do you think?
Man, I mean, it was unbelievable. It's just really tight racing, and you just can't drive over the left rear people. They wreck every time. That's what happens. So I'm just so proud of my Hillman Racing team, my Snap Fitness Chevy. We're so fast on these super speedways, and we can run up front. We've proved it. So I'm proud of our finish. You know, and the guys are just going to have to build another car, and we'll go to Talladega and be even faster.
From your perspective behind the steering wheel, what did you see?
I mean, it just looked like the 11 was fighting for space, and the car behind him either ran him over or the 11 came down on him, one or the other. But it just, you know, that kind of left rear combination doesn't work. You know, it's just kind of what causes wrecks here. So it's just tight racing. I mean, I was kind of in it earlier on the backstretch with the 55 car, and I just clipped him and tried to get out of the way and spun him out, and it just happened. So but it's fun racing, and I'm glad that everybody's okay. I think I hope everybody's okay. I know Austin, I think he's going to be all right, but you know, it's just it's quite a show.
Jeff Gordon is on pit lane, hopped out of his race car. Jeff, describe what you've been watching here.
Oh my gosh, chaos. I mean, it's crazy. Just I mean, I'm so glad Austin Dillon's okay. That's a violent wreck, and I hope the fans are okay as well. But that was a crazy one. You know it's going to be crazy. I mean, right from the start, I thought it was a wild race. It was just a lot of action, crazy stuff going on. Our Exalted Chevrolet was excellent. It was so good. A couple moves here and there. It's so hard to predict these races and what line to be in. The one time they came up the middle, I thought that was the place to be. And Trevor Bain got to the outside of me, and that lane was going. And so, you know, that's all it takes is just that little split-second decision, you know, one move to go your way, not go your way, and we kind of got shuffled back. But we're making pretty good ground there behind Harvey. We were pushing like crazy, just wide open. It's literally like a video game out there these days, except for it's real life, and it's crazy. It's really crazy. I love Daytona. This place has been amazing for me. Can't believe that this is my final race here. But after going through that experience, I'm glad I only have one more restrictor plate race left.